oh, 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 ah, oh, ah. Woo! Woo! Perfect. I want to burp. Burp throughout the ages. Okay. I just like. Alright. Start on YouTube quick and then we'll switch over to.
The towers already had a terrorist attack against them. It's not surprising that you would get insurance on it. They'd already tried to blow up the Twin Towers before.
I didn't know that part.
Okay, yeah, there was a 93 bombing where a dude parked a truck.
I'm not saying that. You trust the government
No,
blindly.
you gotta listen to me, dude. I'm not saying that. I don't trust it blindly. You trust people on BitChute blindly, okay? Chill.
And you still
Hold
trust
on.
them.
If you're gonna listen to me, you need to listen to what the f I'm saying instead of just repeating like these retarded.
You're saying.
No, you're a bot, dude. You repeat the most bot. You repeat the most bot talking points ever. Okay. So this is my understanding, and I'd have to go back and read more. Okay, because I don't know everything. This is my understanding for how justification. This is my understanding for how you don't even know anything about any of these topics. Okay.
So homework before you watch a movie. Yeah.
Yeah, because I like to do my homework. The justification for the Iraq War came from a special division that was created by Bush. This is the issue at the end of the day, okay? The issue is that you have a highly complicated event that's involving lots of people across really the entire world. If you look hard enough, you can find a bunch of things that it's like, isn't that kind of weird? What a weird coincidence. But then at the end of the day, the alternative hypotheses have insane claims to be made that there is no evidence for. So
you don't think there's enough weird coincidences? What do you think about that call on the plane where she's like, it's tape at the end? Did you get to that part?
You can't hear anything that's being said.
But did she actually sound empathetic in that one? How were the 90s phones working on the plane? Have you ever made a phone call on the plane? And all these people are calling their family members on the phone.
So for one, phone technology was different back then. Okay, there were.
It was better. It was better in 2001.
So it's not a matter of it being better or worse. Okay, there are different. Here, you remember when 5G was coming out? That was better,
yeah.
Right? But the transmission range was very small because of the frequency of the waves, right? Just because something is better doesn't mean it's going to transmit farther, right? I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, but don't radio waves go out farther into the universe than any other type of wave because like the length of where they're at on the EM spectrum, but it's not like radio waves are the most sophisticated form of like digital communication we have, you know? But that's like a highly technical thing. There were phones that could call people back then on planes, right? Like they were the air phones. Do you ever remember seeing, you don't because you're like 23. But way back in the day, yeah, there were phones in the back of planes called air phones that you could like swipe a credit card through and call people. Yeah.
What about the plane hit the Pentagon and the tail didn't fit and the cameras weren't actually recording and one of the camera looked edited and all the telephones and all the recordings from the
okay. Here, so
got buried in the plane that landed in Pennsylvania. The fact that it went underground and then 6 miles away, like brother, an explosion went 6 miles away in a field in Pennsylvania.
So this is the question that I have for you, okay? Ready? Because I'll admit there are a lot of weird coincidences, right? But here's like the question I have for you, okay? So this is what's the story that's kind of being presented on the other side, okay? 4 planes took off. Those planes were swapped with military drones. Those military drones were all flown into the buildings and nobody noticed that. And then those 4 commercial planes were landed somewhere. The passengers were forced on those planes to call their family members to make it look legitimate. One of them, while being held at gunpoint to call a family member, that Cece lady, also whispered, "It's framed," or "It's a frame," or whatever. And I guess they didn't notice. We have no records of any of those planes being hijacked by the government, no records of any of those bodies being found, no records of any agents or anybody saying anything about the civilians that were stolen and murdered and hidden.
Is he right?
Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, they leaked a bunch of shit from the government. They didn't find anything related to this. No president, nobody from the FBI, nobody in any intelligence agencies came out and said anything. Apparently, everybody in our government was cool with murdering all these people, and there's not a shred of evidence for any of it. Why are you content to say, well, that must have been what happened? Because you still look at the official story and you see a bunch of coincidences. Like, doesn't that make you wonder, like, okay, well...
What coincidences? They didn't even have footage of all the hijackers, not one image of them in the airport?
I don't know how easy it was to track people on footage back then. Like, I don't know how easy it is to get to an airport and you just don't end up on a camera. But you don't know either, right? You don't know what security footage looked like in 2001. See, like on one end, people will say,
yeah, I actually showed the security footage and they couldn't find one of the 19
you can see it, but you don't know the coverage, you don't know the angles, you don't know how many cameras are being used, right? On one end, you'll say, oh, well, every airport must have had perfect footage of like all this shit. But then when we look at the videos, I said the Pentagon, those cameras were like 1 frame per second. Those were like the worst cameras in the world.
What did you chat think? Did any of you chat get convinced by that documentary?
I don't know. We're only 3 hours through it. But I mean, like, I know that there are people that are probably going to look at it and go like, wow, that is a lot of coincidences. But like, you've got a whole alternative theory here that you've not a shred of evidence for.
You haven't been persuaded at all?
No.
You don't think that's an alarming amount of coincidences?
What I was hoping for was that they would be making claims that I would have to run through and factually disprove. But instead, it's just a bunch of conjecture saying, isn't that weird? Isn't it kind of strange that he was unavailable for 30 minutes? Isn't it kind of weird that this person did that?
There's a good amount. Wait, do a poll. Do a poll in your chat real quick. I want to see what it is because I'm seeing a couple yeses more than I thought. Can you do a poll? See how many people were convinced
in my
by the
DGG chat or my YouTube chat?
In the YouTube chat.
Oh, the YouTube chat might be fully convinced because that's all conservatives in there. But I'll ask. Hold on. Are you?
Oh, your chat's all conservatives on YouTube?
On YouTube, there are a lot of conservatives, and then DGGers are my liberals. Are you convinced by the documentary that 9/11 was a false flag? Yes or no?
Not even providing any conspiracy, just saying that they lied about it. Because there are so many Dick Cheney is clearly lying.
How do you know? But the thing is, like, where's the evidence for a single one of these lies? It's all just weird coincidences.
All the inconsistencies.
Can I catch a shark, please? Jesus fucking
Christ.
Christ.
Hiding the documents that they keep classified. The lying in the interviews.
For the lying in the interviews, there was that one guy that they had, the Department of Transportation Mendy or whatever. I don't know if he's lying or if he's just old and he was getting shit wrong, right?
22%. 22% of your chat got convinced by the documentary?
Yeah, that's more
than I thought.
That's my YouTube chat. They're pretty crazy out there.
Wait, where you at? Can you share your screen? I want to keep watching with you.
I don't even know. I can't share my screen. It's really complicated. Because I have your Discord is on my streaming computer.
Oh, DGG?
No, your Discord is on my streaming computer. I have a second computer that I use for gaming and watching the documentary, so I can't really like share screen on it. Also, I'm not doing that with you. I'm waiting until I finish watching. I have 2 more hours to go. I'll probably be done tomorrow, I imagine, with this. But
you're doing homework and taking notes. So what are your debate points? Oh, you don't want to tell me. I'm the one. Or you're mostly going to be debating Nick. I'm there to just scream and be entertaining.
Well, it's just like
Shark is 80. I could catch Shark at 76, but I
like we can
can't
point
Shark
out
to level
weird
80.
consistencies with the official story.
Where can I cook that?
But there's no evidence for the other story. And then on the other hand, we can just look at the official story. Well, let's look at Al Qaeda. Okay, the World Trade Centers have already been bombed once. Bin Laden is on record with a whole bunch of reasons for wanting to attack America. Al Qaeda has a series of doing attacks like this.
He was a CIA agent.
No, he wasn't. What do you mean?
Yeah, he was.
No, Bin Laden?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
Didn't he have meetings with Reagan back in the 80s?
I would have to look this up. I don't even know what claim this is. Like every random claim, I have to research.
How did all those pilots fly so fast and so accurately without any training?
Okay, so here's the question, okay? You're presenting this as evidence that...
I'm not presenting that as evidence. I'm just asking you to like answer simple questions.
No, hold on. No, hold on. I'm trying to show you how the framing of this question is misleading. So the question is, how did these pilots fly in such a highly irregular manner that they were able to guide the airplanes right into the buildings? Wouldn't that be exactly what like an untrained pilot would do? If they were highly trained, wouldn't you have expected to see them take safer paths into the buildings and more controlled paths rather than like crazy?
If they were better pilots, they would have flown slower?
No, they would have flown in a more controlled manner rather than attempting risky maneuvers.
Didn't you see all the interviews from those pilots saying they don't even understand how it was possible for them to do that?
Pilots aren't gonna know the maximum capability of commercial airliners because they're commercial pilots. They're civilian pilots. They're not. If you ask a civilian pilot, "Are you able to go 550 knots on approach to a building?" He's not gonna know. He's never done a maneuver like that. No, commercial, civilian pilot. They're not gonna know what the max capability of a fucking 757 is.
A trained pilot knows less than an untrained pilot.
No, I'm saying that a trained pilot isn't gonna know what the maximum fucking capabilities of a.
Yeah. Okay. The point is here that the trained pilot, your normal commercial pilot, isn't going to know what the maximum capabilities are because they're never flying at that maximum capability. It's not going to know for sure. And these terrorists didn't also know. They just did it, and it worked because for whatever reason.
Civilian airliners when they're trying to crash into a fucking building.
An untrained pilot does.
And an untrained pilot, they're on a different mission.
Yes or no? They do?
Oh, Destiny, just to say that they don't know. You don't need to know stuff to do things. Fuck, I don't know if he knows. I don't know if he knows that he doesn't know. But he doesn't know that doesn't know that. I don't think he understands what Sneako's trying to. Sneako's trying to say that the pilots who were flying knew that they could do this maneuver and it would work. But you don't need to know that. You just do it and you hope for the best. Because so the math I did as an engineer, this is highly sophisticated math. Anyways, Destiny had watched some video at some point where they were testing the flex of a wing in like the horizontal direction. So how much can the wing flex this way and survive, and like still survive? So they ended up taking like, so that at one edge of the wing they had it like pinned, and then they would pull it up this way, so it would flex like that. Essentially, they would grab the edge of the wing and they would flex it, flex until it would break. And they got to like 150% of its recommended, like safety zone or whatever. I forget what the fuck it was called in the video. God damn it, I forget what it's called in general. I should know this. But 150% of its safety parameters. So let's say, you know, normal safety parameters that it could bend like here, and that's however many newtons of force acting on the wing, or however many, you know, yeah, whatever force that is on the wing, it was able to go 150%. And so what that means, this is not an accurate calculation at all. I was joking before. This is super not accurate. But let's say people were saying in the video that the planes were flying at nearly 500 kilometers an hour, or 500 knots. 500 kilometers an hour, 500 knots. Anyways, whatever it was, a lot of the pilots saying that's impossible. The plane would never do that. It's impossible. But if you look at that, if the quote unquote maximum allowed your VIM or whatever, like maximum velocity, something like some safety velocity that they can't pass. I just said VIM. That's from Fallout. But they were given some. Pilots are obviously given like a, hey, do not pass this speed at this altitude, and that will change obviously as you go up in altitude because the wind becomes, or the air becomes thinner. So the pilots were asked if this plane at this altitude could fly at that speed. And they're like, no, it's impossible. But if we're just going to take the number from the horizontal flex of the wing, which, by the way, a plane taking force in, this is going to be broad, but this direction and this direction is going to be a lot less than in this direction, straight on. So a plane, obviously, as you know that it's flying through. I have any models around? Yeah, it's gonna be crude, but I don't care. Oh wait, I have a fake model. Okay. Lost an aileron. I could just crimp it. Hold on. Okay. Get the dust off. So, okay, here's our very sophisticated plane here, okay? Let's go big screen, hold on. Okay, very sophisticated plane here. Let's move this. So, obviously, if you have a plane, a force in this direction, and this direction, or this direction, like inverse is true as well. This direction, or this direction, and the inverse being true as well, so up and the other way. That will be a lot more, there'll be a lot less allowance or tolerance in those directions than straight on. So, in the other test, right, like this wing was bent, they would put a force on this wing, or it was really the other way. They were grabbing this, and they were pulling it up, and seeing how much it would bend. That's to simulate a plane making like kind of like this maneuver, where a plane would do this, and the force, let's say, even if it's in the extreme, if a plane was like this, flying like this, the force on the wings in, god damn it, sir, oh, fuck me. Force on the wings in this direction, could it withstand that force? That was like what they were testing. And that was able to get to 150%. So let's say the normal cruising speed, or the maximum allowed cruising speed, so they were saying it like was 500 kilometers an hour, I think. Or was it, or actually I think I ended up putting 450. Because I think they're at 500 and they were saying that was above. So I dropped down to like 450 because I think that's the cruising speed that you can go at. So what's 150? This isn't even at the critical, by the way. This is like your recommended speed to go at. But what's 150 of that? Or, oops. That's 675 kilometers an hour, or knots per hour, or whatever. Not knots per hour, just knots. So that's, I think it was kilometers per hour. So that's 675 kilometers per hour that a plane could theoretically take if it was flying like fucking sideways and taking all that force in the side of the wings. But obviously those planes weren't doing that. They were flying like this and, you know, making some risky maneuvers in this kind of orientation. So if a plane is flying perfectly straight and it has that same 150% resistance that the rest of the plane does, which I know it doesn't, it could probably, a plane flying straight this way could probably withstand up to like, you know, 200% of the recommended of the quote unquote safety bracket, or the safety, I want to say safety stock, that's not it. God damn it. Factor safety? That's not gonna be it either. Recommended safety tolerance. I'm just gonna call it safety tolerance. Let's say it can go 200%. It's normal. I wouldn't be surprised if it could go 200%. It's recommended safety tolerance, because a plane is designed to be as safe as possible. So they're gonna find the lowest possible potential damaging factor, whatever, or speed, and they're gonna set that as the do not pass this level, because anything beyond this point could cause damage to the plane that could be irreparable. It's like a bike helmet. You know, when you have a bike helmet of any kind, either racing helmet, normal bike helmet, anything like that, motorcycle helmet, your normal pedal bike helmet, or like a racing helmet for like F1 and shit like that. If you smash any of those helmets, if you drop them on the ground, you're supposed to replace them, because once a helmet's structural integrity is compromised, it has the potential to be completely ineffective at doing its job. And to discover if something has structural damage is almost impossible, because there could be like micro fractures on the interior portions of the helmet or interior skeleton of the plane, and you just can't check those. So you set a safety standard, and the moment that thing is exceeded, maybe you are allowed to exceed it like 5 or 6 times on a plane, and then that plane is fucking retired as a commercial plane, because it's like, okay, this thing has gone too far past. It's like, we can't know what structural damage is taking place here. We can't risk it anymore. It's too much. It could break the next time. These standards will change based on if it's a fucking fighter pilot or fighter jet. It'll probably be closer to the max, because they can eject from the cockpit, and it's the military and stuff like that. They can risk going to the higher echelons of the safety standard and just fucking push that jet straight to the edge. And every single time a jet returns, it goes through like $1 million plus of repairs because of the damage it goes through from just flying around. Commercial planes can't afford to do that, so they try to make it so that you don't exceed any of these safety standards, and then that way it's impossible for you to, you know, destroy the structural integrity of a plane while you're flying it. It'll stay constant throughout, and the plane can make multiple flights before needing a repair, whereas fighter jets need a repair literally every single time they go out. So that maximum airspeed that you can't pass doesn't mean that the moment a plane passes it, right? The moment this plane passes it, it'll just fucking explode the moment it passes it. No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that past this point, you risk structural damage, and the moment you pass this point, the plane probably needs to automatically go through a safety check and a structural integrity test to make sure that the plane is still worthy of flight. That's probably what needs to happen. The plane isn't bunk, the plane isn't destroyed, the plane isn't ruined, the plane isn't going to instantly crash. It just probably needs a safety checkup now, because that's how commercial safety works. I could look up the commercial safety standards. I'm pretty sure I can get a factor of safety that it would meet. Hold on. There's a certain numbers that you can look for. I don't know, maybe factor of safety for commercial flights. or planes, I should say. It was observed that airplanes currently flying that were designated to wait, what the fuck? It was observed that airplanes currently flying that were designated to an infrared ultimate factor of safety at 1.9 were flying safety. Pretty low factor of safety. Oh, designs of early aircraft. Oh, there's a huge paper here. Oh, the 1.5 ultimate factor of safety does not cover analyzing model errors, poor design practice, material property variation. Oh, okay. Anyways, yeah, you could look this stuff up and you could find like factor safeties and different stuff like that. No, but they'll have different meanings, obviously. That's why I really want to bring it up as like a give all, because it's not always true. And then there's another number that I'm forgetting right now, but it's the number you use to multiply. I think it's also, no, it's not called factor safety. Is it? I have no idea. Anyways, you like multiply numbers by like 1.33 or something like that, and that's your that gets you like a number. It's just like the standard for whatever like system you're in. So aerospace, cars, automotive industry, aerospace, factories, whatever that, you times your number by that factor of safety or whatever. Or times it by a number, and then that gives you a factor of safety. Anyways, yeah, so like that doesn't mean that your car's gonna your plane's gonna instantly explode the moment they exceed those flights. So like a pilot, this is why I hate that the interviewer only talked to pilots and didn't talk to a single goddamn fucking engineer, because a pilot who's flying the plane will obviously tell you, oh my god, it's impossible, never pass that, because that's literally drilled into their fucking head to never pass that number. If you pass your recommended fucking flight speed or whatever, you get like fired, or you get a slap on the wrist. You get punished for that. But any engineer will tell you like, oh no, like that's just going to be like the absolute minimum safety thing. The plane could definitely fly over that limit. It's just that past that limit, you're gonna receive serious structural damage, or potentially serious structural damage, and you can't make any big maneuvers, or you risk like ripping your fucking wings off. But the pilots flying into the Twin Towers weren't making super hardcore risky moves, or they looked pretty hardcore risky moves, but I'm sure they were still within the capabilities of the plane. Obviously, they were way past any of the safety recommendations, like duh, but the safety recommendations of a plane are so tight and so little that the point of them is that when you're taking a turn on a plane, you can't really feel it. Like the maximum speed you could take a turn at or whatever, or the maximum angle you could take a turn at on a commercial plane will be something super small. And anything over that, the pilots would be like, no, you should never do that. But in reality, the difference is like, you can't feel it to, oh, you can actually feel like you're turning the plane now. Oh, we can actually feel the plane being turned. And that's probably the difference. Because it's commercial. It's like meant to be, the point of all these safety factors is to make the ride as comfortable as possible for all of the people on board, and make it as reliable as possible, so that the plane never crashes.
Pilot doesn't.
They might not know the max capability of the plane, but they're willing to push it until the plane literally fucking explodes.
Okay,
a civilian pilot isn't going to do that.
Okay.
Thank God.
Good job, Dustin. Do you understand that point? Hold on.
No.
Hold on. Let me see if I can get you on at least a couple things. I should be forcing concessions. Will you agree that we would never ask a civilian airline pilot, what do you think are the maximum capabilities of your plane used in a suicide bombing mission? Commercial airline civilian pilot is not going to know the answer to that question.
No, I'm pretty sure they interviewed all types of pilots, even plane experts. It's like, oh yeah, this plane can never go to this level of, they can never go this fast.
Sure.
It wasn't just commercial airline pilots that they were interviewing. They interviewed
some of the
exclusively
they even interviewed military pilots.
Okay, here's a question. Okay, you've driven.
Okay, military. I hate this. Don't ask pilots the capabilities of an aircraft. Ask the engineer who fucking designed it. Pilots don't understand the capabilities of their aircraft. They don't. They understand the maneuvers they need to make to get to a certain thing. They know how to fly it. You can watch this happening with F1. You can watch this anything. People who fly the plane, fly the jet, drive a race car, Those people don't understand the mechanics or the true potential capabilities of the vehicle that they're driving or flying. They might understand how to hit it. They could hit the max, but they don't really understand what the fuck's going on. Because they've got feel and all this different stuff. Like, you can see, god damn it, there's a recent thing that an F1 driver was interviewed, and he just completely didn't understand, or, well, it's not like he didn't understand. He just said, like, I don't know what the hell that means. He was asked a question about something involving the car, and he just had no idea what it is. But, like, he uses it and is constantly taking advantage of this thing over the course of, I think it was something about friction or whatever, like the grip of the tires. Or maybe just the downforce on the vehicle, and he didn't understand how it works. But obviously the F1 driver takes advantage of it throughout the entire race. They just don't know it. They just don't know what's going on underneath the surface level. And it's the same thing with pilots. Pilots will be like, "Oh yeah, you should never exceed that." And that's just because you're told to never exceed that. The plane could probably exceed that and be fine for a little bit, because that's like the point of the safety factors.
Yeah, duh.
What kind of? Oh yeah, you have a fucking. Do you say what kind of car you have?
I have a Charger, yeah.
Okay, you have a Charger. Do you have over 10,000 miles on it?
Yeah, 70.
Do you know what the max RPM that motor can go to before it explodes?
No. What's the?
Oh man, you must be. Oh, dude. Do you think it's that red line on the dial? Because I bet you $10,000 it's not the red line on the dial. That's just the safety warning. And then you'll hit that, and then the actual safety block will engage, and you can't go past that. But the engine of a Charger could probably go way past whatever the maximum is on the dial, because an engineer fucking designed it and knows.
You have no idea what would actually destroy your car.
I'm an expert. I'm a normie with the driver's license.
Hold on.
Yeah, I know, but neither are pilots. Pilots aren't engineers who designed the fucking aircraft. Pilots just know how to fly it.
But I'm trying to show you this. If I was to get in your car and I wanted to do a suicide drive with your car, I probably would find out what the max fucking RPM for that motor is before it blows, or before a governor or whatever kicks in. Because I'm trying to suicide drive the car. But as a civilian passenger, you're not going to know the answer to that. You're not going to have an idea. You don't know what the max capability of your car is because you're driving a civilian circumstance.
A rando, an untrained, some guy without a driver's license can get in my car, drive it faster than I ever have, and drive it accurately enough to hit a fucking small target like a tower.
Okay, I don't think the Twin Towers were that small of a target for a jumbo jet. On like a infinite approach, right? Like, there's nothing else in the way. It's not like they had to weave through other buildings and then hit this target. It was like a blind open approach from any direction would get you the desired result.
Or the fucking Pentagon.
Potentially, yeah.
Well, they missed the Pentagon, didn't they?
If I were to get in your car and I was going on a suicide mission, I bet I could drive that car crazier than you ever have in your life. It wouldn't even be close.
Not even an expert. I'm an expert at driving my car. I've been driving it like every day,
not.
just like a trained pilot. You're saying a rando, a fucking 16-year-old kid who just got his permit, could drive.
Now, okay, well, let me clarify one thing with the F1 drivers things is that because I think now they're into a discussion on like who could hit the max of the vehicle. And now an F1 driver could probably get to the closer max to a vehicle than a normal city car driver or a stunt driver in a thing. Because again, my point still stands that the F1 driver doesn't understand what the fuck's going on those maxes. And probably could hit a corner at a slightly higher max, but just doesn't know it. And now maybe the engineers don't know it because it requires testing, blah, blah, blah. Because you're getting into the higher echelons of peak performance. Where, but
better because he's on a suicide mission and he can accurately drive it faster. Than me.
I didn't say he could drive it better. What I said was that he could approach limits on that vehicle that you don't even know exist.
Approaching limits is better.
What?
No, what?
I'm not saying it's better.
Driver.
What I'm saying is that no, it's not. Approaching the limit on something doesn't make you a better driver. That's not even close to true.
I would like to drive my car as fast and as efficiently and as accurately as possible. And you're saying an untrained person who doesn't give a f on a suicide mission, who's untrained, under the pressure of hijacking a plane with fucking civilians on there and pilots who are scared of a box cutter, can drive it better than the trained pilots. What the fuck are you talking about?
Better. First of all, I don't know if a trained pilot wouldn't be able to hit a building, okay? Number one. Number two, most of the difficulty in flying an airliner isn't taking off and landing, which the hijackers didn't have to do for any of the planes. And number three, all I was saying is that they could push limits on those planes harder than any civilian pilot ever would. Because a civilian pilot is not trying to fucking suicide bomb his fucking plane, right?
Okay,
Much the same way that if what?
We're gonna go in circles about this. I was listening to you earlier talk about this. Okay, can you explain Tower 7 then?
I haven't gotten to that part yet, so I haven't read all the fucking NIS.
Have you heard about Tower 7
Yeah, of
before?
course I've heard Tower 7. There's no way that the debris could have brought it down, blah, 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 blah.
So what's your explanation for Tower 7?
I don't know. I haven't researched it yet.
You don't know?
That's what I've just said 3 times.
Okay.
There's no
I
images
really
of the
wanna
box
watch
cutters,
what
but
part
like
of the
afraid of
documentary
box
you're at.
cutters. Like these are all box cutters.
I'm at like 3 hours, but I'm gonna be sleeping.
Some of these are
since
just
1:40
knives.
a.m. for me.
Like that's a box
I
cutter.
can't-
Your homework. Just gonna be a good.
Oh, look, that was called how 9/11 changed air travel. If that's what they were using on the flight.
40% of my chat are fucking Trump fans. Unironically, my YouTube chat is a wild place.
Just the most basic one. How the fuck did the plane that crashed in the field in Pennsylvania just bury underneath the ground? How far did it say it went? The whole plane disappeared, and then they showed every other plane crash since then, and the plane is there, available. That plane just disappeared.
I don't think this. Okay, again, Sneako, you're not an engineer. You don't understand. Like, so the soil could be like softer if it's a field in Pennsylvania. If it's a farm field, that soil is probably very soft, right? If it's a wetland, that field is even softer. Okay, so that field could be very soft. That means that the plane could dig straight into there. Now, the whole plane disappearing isn't that big of a feat when you're traveling at fucking like 500 kilometers an hour, just careening into the ground, right? So the whole plane disappearing doesn't mean that the plane was like 5 feet underground. It could just be that the plane smashed in the ground and made a divot deep enough so that the top of the plane was under the ground. And it might not have been true either in that case. It just said it was the entire plane was underground, when maybe the entire plane wasn't underground, just like most of it.
And they found debris 6 miles away from the collision. How the fuck does an explosion go 6 miles away?
Sure. So here's
So something being sent 6 miles away in an explosion is pretty common. I don't know. In a plane crash too, like how far did the thing crash for? Debris could have been falling off before the plane even crashed. We know that once you hit your max fucking speed, there shit could be falling off. The air, like the doors to open up the gears could have the gears. Fuck me. The landing gear could have broken off, and that was the debris that came off. Some random things from the plane could be flying off because it's going like past
here's
its.
the questions. Okay,
You're not answering the question.
I'm trying to explain. You're asking me really complicated questions. You're trying to force a yes or no out of me. These are unprecedented fucking things, right? So, number one, you acknowledge that this event has never happened historically before, with people hijacking planes with the attempts to crash them into buildings in the United States. I don't even know if it happened.
Especially a country with the highest security protocols of all time, and the fact that they were floating around in circles.
Hold on. No.
Undetected, and all the other planes, all the other available planes. Oh no! Before you continue,
You're
all
gonna do
the
the
other
conspiracy
planes.
ramble. Okay.
I'm just saying, are conveniently in military training right now, and all the government officials at that time were secretly in a meeting, and all the other ones are driving away to mountains. But yeah, continue.
Hold on.
You're looking at notes? You really doing homework like that?
No, who's texting us?
Someone's in the Discord section?
No, on our phones. Who is that? I don't know. I don't have the number saved on my phone.
Oh, it's Fresh and Fit.
Which one? Is that Myron?
Myron, yeah. You want to give him the joint? I already had Fresh earlier in the shoot. Let's get Myron.
Myron.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is my
I haven't watched the last 2 hours. If you want to bring him in, fucking go for it, dude.
He's on your side. He's a Fed, so like he just like Feds.
I don't know what that means. Apparently, he thinks the raid on Trump was bullshit. So if you want to drag him in, go for it.
Hey, chat, we get 2 Feds in here, Myron and Destiny.
Fuck, what did you just ask me? Oh, here's something that the documentary did and then they ignored. Do you remember when they showed you the evidence of that plane crashing? I think it was an F4 Phantom, crashing right into the wall and it fucking disintegrated?
Yeah.
Right? So it shows pictures of like, this is what other airplane crashes look like. But generally, when a plane is crashing, right, usually there's some attempt by the people in the cockpit to get control over the plane. So I don't know if a crash like that, where a plane is exploding or losing like structural integrity mid-air and then crashing, that's probably going to look a lot different than a plane nosediving into the fucking ground at a 45-degree angle.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not surprising to me that the burial sites or the crash sites of these 2 planes are going to look way different. We already saw a video early in this documentary where it showed what it looked like when a plane crashed right into a concrete wall and it fucking disintegrated. So
that doesn't make any sense that a plane, when it crashes, buries under the dirt like somebody's slivering underground.
Why not? It's going so fast.
Miles per hour? Do you know
what type of impact is that?
I don't, dude.
It could be a simple, literally anything. If the ground is soft enough, a literal 10-degree crash could bury you under the soil. because it's 10 degrees, and you're going fast enough. You will surpass the reflection point of the ground. There's there's some ballistics you can do as well with this. They calculate this for bullets. If you shoot bullets at certain angles, you can get them to bounce. And other angles, they'll just explode. And at other angles, they'll bury or whatever. It's just ballistics, but I mean, the same thing.
Neither of us know because neither of us have looked at a 100-ton plane going 500 miles per hour right into the fucking dirt.
And that makes sense to you that the debris flew 6 miles away?
I haven't researched the debris yet. That's something that I have to look up because they said they found debris 6 to 8 miles away. I don't know yet what that debris was. I have to look it up.
Myron says he didn't have Discord.
He doesn't have how the fuck does he not have Discord?
I know, they're boomers, bro. We've been dealing with these boomers. Same thing with Fresh. He didn't even know what Discord was. He could probably just do it on his phone. If he downloads Discord on his phone, he could just order his phone real quick.
Sure, tell him to download Discord. They should have it anyway, okay? It's fucking 2022, all right?
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
Lacking, especially as a streamer.
Yeah, especially as a streamer. If he doesn't have Discord, Hassan was right. They fell off, okay? That's
my chat loves Nick, but he's telling me not to have Nick on anymore, or else I'm gonna get a no-fly list.
Wait, who's saying that?
Myron.
Oh, I didn't say any of that, so don't.
Yeah, what's up, Myron? Can you download Discord on your phone? It might be too much work to do it on your computer right now, unless you have Mo or some of the producers there.
Yeah. Discord?
Yeah, Discord. Boomer.
Good one.
On his computer, that he's gonna have to like figure out how to connect his camera. It's gonna be fucking up.
It should auto detect all that shit, right?
I want to read your chat right now. I want to figure out why they got convinced. Can you do a poll? Can you ask, or no, that's the super
I've already got like a lot of conservatives in my YouTube chat, so I don't know if they've been convinced or if they just already believe it.
So are you saying this conspiracy theory is a liberal conservative issue now, and not just common sense?
No, it's an establishment, anti-establishment conspiracy theory, and it tends to be believed more on the right than the left. There used to be left-leaning people that believe it, but now anti-establishment lefties might believe it.
Oh, look at that!
The thing is that usually this conspiracy theory, not to sound like a dick, and I'm not trying to personally attack anybody, but it usually is rooted in anti-Semitism, which tends to be a flavor more of the far right than the far left.
I'm not even an anti-Semite.
Sure, I know. I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying that a lot of the 9/11 truther stuff usually comes from the idea that Israel has like done things like this whole Goldstein guy and owning the building is usually put like I think Ryan Dawson's a big proponent of that. That Israel was the one.
He made $7 billion. That Jewish guy Goldstein, he made $7 billion and he had an insurance policy installed like what? 10 months before?
Bro, the towers already had a terrorist attack against them. It's not surprising that you would get insurance on it. They'd already tried to blow up the Twin Towers before. What?
Did they? I didn't know that part.
Okay, yeah. There was a 93 bombing where a dude parked a truck in the part of... I think they were part of Al-Qaeda, right? Holy shit, wait, I need to check that out. Where he parked a truck in the basement, and there's like a 100-foot hole that it caused it to explode. And the goal of that was literally to cause the building to collapse and fall into the other one.
Yeah, Destiny's chat. What in the documentary made you flip? I'm reading your chat right now. What made you flip?
Your mom.
A lot of them are,
say that, mom.
A lot of them are saying
your mom. A lot. He already polled the 40%.
I don't understand, Destiny. Why
chat.
are you so quick to defend people in power?
I'm not quick to defend people in power. I'm just looking at like what is the most reasonable story. There's a terrorist organization that hates the United States. There's a prolific writer, Osama bin Laden, who's got tons of reasons why he hates us. Like he's written extensively about it. You can go read his fatwas. You can go read all of the information that he gives for it. And Al-Qaeda has a history of doing exactly these types of coordinated multi-bombing attacks across. They encourage sectarian violence all across the Middle East. So to see them do another one in the United States is like, yeah, it's pretty consistent with everything. Not to say that your story is impossible. Your story could be possible, but there's not a shred of evidence for it. It's just trying to point out inconsistencies in the main story. Like, here's a question.
I mean, your evidence is all stuff that the government told you. How do you decide what's evidence?
Hold on. It is. It's not. It's not just our government, okay? It's every government around the world, and it's all of the independent parties except for the 9/11 truther movement that have looked into it.
You get to the part where where Putin was warning about that, and all the other countries were warning about an attack on the World Trade Center.
I'm sure that there's probably been talks of attacks on all sorts of things in the United States constantly. We're always under different threats constantly. How credible they are or how serious they are or how much we know about it is always something that intelligence agencies are wrestling with. If you work for any sort of intelligence agency or anything in the military at all, they'll give you literally daily threat assessments where they say, hey, probably shouldn't travel here. Hey, this is a little bit dangerous. Hey, don't go there. Doesn't mean there's always a terrorist attack coming.
He conveniently ignored a lot of it. Dude, who's Ryan Dawson? Someone said Ryan Dawson is a lead researcher on 9/11.
Ryan Dawson is an insane conspiracy theory. You can talk to him on your own if you want, but if I have to talk to him,
can you add it? Is he online right now?
no, I don't have his added. But if I was going to talk to him, I need to prepare to talk to that guy because he's like way off into the like Jews are behind every fucking evil in the world, like crazier than Fuentes. So I would have to specially prepare for that conversation too.
Damn, do these Jew haters know that I'm 12% Jew?
I think 12% is probably low enough to be okay. You'll fly under the radar,
okay with it?
just like the planes did, I guess.
Haha. Ha 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 ha.
That's the craziest part, bro. And all those planes went undetected. They didn't shoot it down.
Well, okay. I this is now I'm getting into like I'm getting out of my field here of like safeties. Like a plane. If I'm an air traffic controller and I see a plane like flying off course, it's like, okay, like that's weird. But that was a plane that was like ready to go, ready to fly. Everything was good. Everything like this isn't a totally unidentified fucking flying object. This isn't a UFO flying around. When a plane gets hijacked, the first like we don't know if it's getting hijacked. If a plane's flying off course, it's like, oh hey, are you making like did you guys forget to like Mayday? We're gonna try to get into contact with you first. Okay, we can't get into contact with you. Okay, we're gonna try to see like what's going on. We're gonna see what you're flying. We're not gonna send out the jets instantly, especially in 2001 before any of this shit happened. Nowadays, yeah, you might fly the jets out instantly, right? But
okay, hold on, wait. I gotta say something earlier too, because a lot of this is people just don't remember the time. You're talking about how like we have the best security in the world, et cetera, et cetera. In 2000, if it was like your birthday, pilots would walk you through the cockpit. Okay, they didn't even lock the doors to that shit. Like airplane security was a totally different place in the United States before 9/11. When people say 9/11 changed everything about security, it really did. You know, I'm not shitting on you for your age, but like you wouldn't remember because it's always been like this.
I remember because I'm a Canadian, so they still let you do that.
But there wasn't like the TSA didn't exist before 9/11. I'm pretty sure to get on a plane, you just went through you just went through a metal detector. There wasn't like the giant scatter plot machines or whatever the fuck. They didn't even you didn't take your shoes off and do all that shit. And the cockpit door was open when you were on flights. You could walk in and like look at shit if you like. I remember they did that for kids on their birthday. They let you go and check.
Wait, what did Ryan Dawson crush you on?
We had a debate on Middle East stuff a long time ago where
you're an Islamophobe?
No. But I think, was it over the Syrian civil war? He just had he had a deeper level knowledge on almost every topic that we were talking about. So I basically had to concede the whole conversation to him. But in retrospect, I see that almost every single thing he believes in, he discredits every official narrative or every official investigation. And he believes every side investigation that proves his conspiracy. So in Syria, he believes that most of the chemical weapon attacks were done by the rebels and not by Assad. Or that all of the international organizations like the UN or anybody related to them, they're investigating, they're all lying to benefit the United States or Israel or whatever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, but that was a debate from a long time ago.
My chat's going crazy. I got a lot of truthers in my chat.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Bin Laden published a letter to the world where he said why he did it. He said it was because of the he said it was because of the Jews.
Well, part of it is our support for Israel. Yes. The Arabs, especially, is it Salafi? Fuck, I forget the name of it. But there's a sect of Islam of Islamists that are trying to establish a worldwide caliphate, and part of that is an extreme hatred of Israel and Jewish people in the Middle East and Israel's treatment of Palestinians, and that's one of the big things that Bin Laden, especially in his group, didn't like about us, right? His motivations were it was our support for Israel, it was attacks against Muslims in Somalia, it was attacks or supporting the Philippines in the Moro conflict, which I think was Russia or the Soviet Union. Supporting Israel against Muslims in Lebanon, supporting atrocities against Muslims in Chechnya, which was Russia.
You don't think it was likely that Bin Laden just took credit? Because we were supplying his people with, we sell weapons to them.
No, hold on. In the 80s, there was a war in Afghanistan, okay? There was a Soviet-Afghan war. And as part of that war, we supported a group called the Mujahideen, where the Bin Laden was probably a part of. But we didn't supply him directly or train him directly. Now later, after that war, people like Bin Laden and al-Zawahiri, I think, would go off to form Al-Qaeda, and they would try to draft fighters from that. But we weren't directly funding Bin Laden or directly giving him money or training.
How was that not directly?
because it wasn't. Because when people say, like, we didn't fund Al Qaeda directly, and I think Bin Laden was already part of a pretty wealthy family. But when we were funneling money to that conflict, we were giving the money to Pakistan, the ISI, I think, I don't remember the abbreviation is, but it's the Pakistani intelligence services that were then taking that money and then allocating it to people in Pakistan. But the United States has never had a direct connection to Bin Laden insofar as
Bin Laden.
But Bin Laden,
It's the same. It's the same shit in fucking Ukraine. Okay, when people like complain like, "Oh my God, we're supporting Nazis," it's like, no, we're giving money to the Ukrainian government, and then that money is being distributed to their like armed forces. And one of the armed force battalions is called the Azov Battalion, and at one point in time they were like more right wing than they are now, and they've been like they don't have the same ties as they did before because that's kind of all been like drawn out because they were brought into the rest of the Ukrainian armed forces.
Pretty wealthy dude.
But again, these stupid losers who will just
Francisco Kosiga Mossad.
will just
You know
say
what that is?
they'll just say anything. It's the same thing that happened with Paul's ego. Some dipshit I'll argue with on Twitter sometimes. Where it's like, remember what happened last time we gave money to a foreign nation, quote unquote. Look at Afghanistan. And then that's how ISIS came about. It's like, okay, dude, like that's like a different circumstance in a different region, and we didn't support directly ISIS. We just supported Afghanistan and Pakistan, and then terrorist groups that came out of that after that conflict that were separated from those things took over. I don't know.
No.
Francesco.
But Mossad is going to be like Israel.
Like essentially their position. Anyways, I don't even know if this is Sneako's position, but like people like this, I guess their position just ends up being like, don't give any help to anyone because that help might accidentally end up in the hands of bad people. So therefore, it's just better to never give help to anyone ever, to never risk potentially giving guns to bad people. So okay.
Really intelligent. That's like Jewish shit, basically, right? Like I think the most.
And if guns accidentally go to bad people, it's entirely your fault, and you were 100% at fault for it, and you were basically directly supporting them the whole time.
Mossad is like the NSA for Israel. So anytime there's like anything that happens around the world, people will be like, "Oh, it was the Mossad." That just means that like the Jews were behind it, basically.
He's a normie. He said he doesn't know how to type his Discord in. Just tell him to friend you. I'll just type that in.
Add.
Chad, I'm gonna have to do 2 feds at once. He's on your side on this.
Yeah, we'll see, dude. Trump did a lot of things for.
Okay, here we go.
Also, when you were talking about like that trained pilot shit, right? Do you remember in Seattle that dude that had never flown a plane before that was doing fucking loop-de-loops in that single row commercial airliner?
No.
You never saw that?
What's the link called?
You'd probably YouTube.
So are you saying that being anybody could just be a pilot? I can't even
No,
fly.
not anyone could be a pilot, bro. It's like anyone could fly a plane, maybe, but not everyone could be a pilot. Does that clear things up? I don't know.
Flight simulator, and then just normies are getting into a plane and doing whatever the fuck
Hold
they
on,
want.
you're missing an essential part of the story. Okay, there's a difference between correctly flying a plane, like taxiing, takeoff, landing, and doing that safely, versus
flying into a tower, which is way more difficult and precise and faster.
I
Not
don't
really.
think so.
No.
And then
Versus
also doing
taking a
it
plane that's
under
already
Like what's harder to do? Okay, crashing into a stop sign, or driving properly on the road. A stop sign is a very tiny little target on the side of the road, very very precise target you have to hit. But what do you think is harder to do? Smashing into a stop sign or driving properly on the road like a normal human being? Well, actually, no. Like normal human beings drive like shit. Okay, like a above average human being. What do you think's harder to do? I think it's going to be driving like a normal person, or driving like
under pressure.
driver.
What, they're locked in a
I would
cockpit.
say it's not. They're under pressure. They got all the passengers in the plane.
Under
They have
pressure.
to like tell the pilots to get out with a box cutter. You're saying it's not pressure?
Dude, I'm pretty sure the only one that had pressure was the one that went down in Pennsylvania. For the other 3 planes, it's not like the passengers were revolting. Because why would the passengers revolt? They don't want to go get fucking killed, right? A lot of them.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me. If you're a passenger on a plane, aren't you gonna fight back? Aren't you gonna go fuck with the pilot?
No, you don't. Now we're getting into groupthink and group dynamics of people. Most people in hostage situations or any group atmosphere won't do anything because we're herd animals. Okay, no one wants to be outside the herd, even if it's the better thing to do. Like that's the gist of it in a very simple way. obviously it's more complicated than that. There's I don't know if this is a real thing, act first move or whatever. Anyways, it's very, 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 very difficult for anyone to act first phenomenon, I want to call it. I don't think this is it. But it's very, very difficult for somebody to act first in group settings. Really hard. It's like against your nature to act first. But the moment somebody does an action, everyone else is super willing to follow that action. And you can see the studies where people will go in and like everyone's in a waiting room, and one person will just stand up, and then everyone else will just kind of randomly stand up, for no reason. They just stand up because the other person stood up. And like what that could mean for this is that, you know, nobody was revolting, but you know, maybe in the other plane where people like the Flight 11 plane where people did revolt, maybe it was one person that just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna revolt," and then everyone else joined in. And on every other plate, not one person was willing to revolt, so nobody did.
Dude, listen, I'm trying to make you understand this. You don't understand how unprecedented this is. This has never, ever, 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 ever happened in the world before. That jets are taken over and flown into buildings, dude. I know that, like, in your mind, it's like, oh, people take over jets and fly them into buildings. That was never a thing. For hijackings,
also, like, people on the plane have no idea what the fuck's going on, right? They don't know that they're about to die. If they knew they were about to die, maybe they would have revolted. But they don't. They just think they're being held hostage. The terrorists will ask for some money. The plane will land, they'll get exchanged, and everyone will go home safe. They didn't know they were going to get flown into a fucking building.
In the past, I'm just telling you that you're wrong. When you hijack a plane, you hijack
That's not what I'm saying, though.
No, hold on.
I'm saying,
no, stop. Let me finish. Can I finish? I gotta finish. I gotta finish. No.
Okay,
you're not. Why would you do that? If somebody hijacks a plane, usually...
You're just going to sit and watch it happen? Someone else is not going to try to take over the plane?
So you're going to run into the cockpit and get everybody killed?
They're already going to die!
No, they're not.
They don't know that. They don't know that they're going to die.
People are thinking, dog. You hijack a plane, you make demands for money, you land it somewhere else. That's typically what people were doing. Nobody's hijacking planes and flying them into fucking buildings. Nobody had ever done this before in the United States.
Pilots thinking. It's just with the box cutter they got manipulated that easily.
What were the pilots thinking? What do you think the pilots are going to fucking do? What do you think Again, do I have to bring up the photo of a box cutter? An X-Acto knife is a box cutter. These are all box cutters. This might have been the box cutter that was used on fucking 9/11. Like, you will slice someone's fucking throat open with this. It's not a fucking piece of plastic. What do you think a box cutter is?
You don't have to manipulate with a box cutter, you just stab somebody.
The pilots got stabbed, is that true?
I think some of them did, and I think some of them didn't. I'd have to go back and look into each and every plane. Oh, and also I'm pretty sure one of the hijackers on each plane had a fake bomb strapped to them too, where they said they'd blow the bomb up as well.
Yeah, that's true too.
So why the fuck would you fight against hijackers? The only people that did it were the ones that went down in Pennsylvania because they'd already heard that other planes had been suicide bombed.
Let me add Myron real quick.
Okay. All right.
I'm a private pilot, and I know airlines are very different, but plane aren't as hard to fly as you think. It's all the other aspects of flying that you don't need.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the hardest parts about flying a plane are landing and taking off. That's like typically the thing of like, and then all the regulations you have to follow, obviously. Like the 1 million quadrillion fucking regulations you have to follow every time you radio in, you have to do some shit. Like that's all what's stressful, but being in the air isn't that hard.
If you're on a suicide mission.
Yeah, like I've heard that like pinging towers correctly and then landing and takeoff are always.
It's like I said before with the what do you think is harder? What do you think is harder? Driving into a fucking stop sign or driving like an above average human being?
Hardest parts, your most fucked up parts of flight. That's where most accidents occur. That's why we have rules about like your seatbelt and not standing during takeoff, because that's when like 98% of plane accidents occur. But if you're literally just trying to suicide bomb into a tower, there's a lot of stuff you don't have to worry about. Like I said, like if I were to drive your car, like I could push that car harder than you've ever pushed in your entire life. Not because I'm a skilled driver, but just because I don't give a fuck. I'm just trying to kill myself. Okay, I'm adding him to this call. It's gonna make a new one, okay? Jesus Christ. Okay, hey, what's up? You know that we're live, everything, right, Myron?
Yeah, no, I know you guys are live. What's up, man?
Just say words that you shouldn't say on stream.
What was that?
Don't say any words that you shouldn't say on stream, please.
Yeah, no, I got you, bro. I'm not gonna mess up the stream. I'm just here. I was listening to your guys' conversation. I thought it was really interesting, so I figured, hey, I'll just jump in real fast. Why not?
Bro, I had Fresh on earlier too. You know that?
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that.
So what do you think about this debate going on right now? I mean, you're Fed, so you believe in what they said. You're on their side.
The official
story.
So
my thing is this:
like water,
from all the evidence that was gathered, okay, it was very obvious that there was a attack by some foreign nationals that hate the United States. So my thing is, because I've seen Loose Change, I've seen these conspiracy theory movies, and they make some compelling arguments, but it's still not going to disprove the overwhelming amount of evidence that shows that, yes, we were attacked by a bunch of terrorists, man, from Al-Qaeda. So that's really what it comes down to. I haven't seen this documentary that you got.
WTC7.
So I'm going to check it out.
What about WTC7?
WTC7?
It's World Trade Center Building 7. I haven't gotten to the
Building
research
7.
part on that yet, so I don't have an answer there. But it's the one that fell that people said that proves that there was a demolition by the Jewish dude.
And they talked about that in Loose Change as well.
Yeah.
A plane didn't even hit that building, right? For the
I know, but
chat who doesn't know that.
okay. Again, this is like building. God damn it! I would need to touch up on my building code shit because I didn't get into that much with engineering stuff. Because I'm not like a full-fledged CTE engineer, I'm just a technologist, okay? So I didn't do a lot of building stuff, but you would need to go into like building dynamics. But if shrapnel from the Twin Towers is falling on top of you, that could be a lot of extra weight on top of your building, okay? Like, that could collapse your building. And all of those, I think all the buildings in New York are designed to fall straight down in a controlled manner so that they don't take down buildings around it. Like after their structural integrity is blown, they're supposed to fall straight down so that they don't destroy everything else around them.
Didn't even get hit by.
Like people are like, oh, why isn't the building tipping over? Do you think civil engineers and city planners and fucking building designers, they're all like, yeah, you know what? I want our city designed so that we could have a fucking wow, what the heck? A dominoes effect. Once one building falls down, it just hits the next building, hits the next building. Like, do you think it's what do you think? Think people are that stupid to design shit? Like, yeah, we want, you know what? If something horrible happens, we want all of our buildings to just domino effect and kill each other. Like,
I planned it just crumbled
Correct.
because of debris.
Or fire is what it said.
It literally looks like a controlled demolition. I don't know if I can play right now if I'm gonna get deleted, but I want to.
What I hate. Okay, I wish I was there because my small engineering brain could help with this. Where, why do you think the building designers would design a building? Don't you think it's part of the design to like fall straight down? Why would you want a building that when the structural integrity is compromised, it falls sideways and then takes out the next building beside it, and then that building would fall sideways and hit the next building beside it, and then it would hit the next building beside it? In fucking New York, you would flatten the entire goddamn city by one building falling.
That it just literally is the perfect example of a controlled demolition.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the name of this documentary that you guys are talking about? I'll check it out.
Harbor.
It's called The
What's it
New
called?
Pearl Harbor.
It's on YouTube, but it's long. It's 5 hours.
It's
but
a
very good.
5-hour
It's all
documentary.
informational.
All right, I'm gonna check it out so that way I could be a little bit more educated about it. But I've never seen that one, but I have seen Loose Change.
Uh-huh.
What does Loose Change talk about?
It was like
Very
the
similar.
first big 9/11 truther film that was made way back in the day. Whenever
Yeah,
in this film, when they talk about like people from Popular Mechanics and stuff doing debunks of 9/11 conspiracies, they're talking about the film Loose Change because that was like the original huge 9/11 thing.
This one's very factual. It doesn't make any opinions. It just going all facts. Myron's
Well,
favorite.
but it's not. The problem is that all of it is just saying like, isn't that kind of weird? Isn't this kind of weird? Wasn't that kind of weird? Like, that's all they're saying in the entire thing. There's not like a single fact that shows, and it's making some extreme claims that military drone planes were flown out of, 4 different air bases to take the place of the normal planes, that the civilian airliners were landed somewhere, fake phone calls were made, all those civilians were executed, all the people involved in this have never leaked a single thing ever, despite how fucked up all of this is. Like a crazy fucked up mission that like all the chain of command was in on it, or at least high enough that they could stop like planes being dispatched. Like, that's like some wild shit. Not to say that it's impossible, but I don't have a single shred of evidence for any of it, and nobody's leaked anything ever showing any of that.
So Myron, you worked for the government for 8 years. You didn't see any shady shit going on?
Well, let me tell you this. From a practicality standpoint, from what Destiny was saying, a lot of people give the government way too much credit, man. A lot of people that work for the government are fucking retards, if I'm going to be honest. They're stupid. You know what I mean? Like a lot of
level employees, but not the ones at the top.
A lot of people are, for those who are wondering in here, I used to be an agent with Homeland Security back in the day. So, like, there's a lot of people that are incompetent, lazy, don't go hard. Like, when I was in my office, for example, like, it was unheard of for people to be in office past 6 p.m., 7 p.m. They're like, oh, what are you doing here? You're working too hard. You're a young gun, blah, blah, blah. So, if there was an actual conspiracy, right, and people in the government were behind it, and there was this grand scheme to do all this stuff, dude, someone would have, like, leaked it or something like that. You know what I mean? Would it like?
Or there'd be at least one shred of evidence.
Yeah,
Just one shred, thing, just something.
True. People give them way too much credit, man. There's a lot of idiots in the government, guys. Like,
and this is okay. And then hold on. Actually, Myron, you can speak on this, please, because I have a federal employee here. Okay. I think that a lot of these theories start, or you can tell me that I'm wrong. Maybe I'm fucking full of shit. But okay, a lot of people think that when they think about all the different agencies of the government, when they think about like the NSA, the FBI, the CIA, they imagine that all these dudes go into the same office, they work together, they're sharing files, they're like super chill with each other. But these like agencies are pretty siloed off from each other. If you want to work with people like across other agencies, you've got to make like requests. There's a whole bunch of bureaucratic
100%.
bullshit you've got to go through. Like they're not all going to work together and doing all of these things.
I'll tell you guys this. So there's two different things that people confuse a lot of the times, right? You have law enforcement and then you have intelligence. They're two different worlds, guys. The CIA is not the same as the FBI. Okay, the CIA is, you know, tasked with gathering intelligence internationally. They typically collect on foreign nationals. The FBI is the main intelligence agency in the United States, which is also a law enforcement agency as well. CIA is not a law enforcement agency. Same thing with NSA. NSA is not a law enforcement agency. It's an intelligence agency. So a lot of the times when you want to work with these kinds of guys, right, we call them the spooks, like, it's very difficult to get information from them. A lot of times they'll be like, oh, that's classified, or they don't share information. A big part of the reason why 9/11 happened in the first place was agencies weren't sharing information with each other. Namely, the FBI wasn't talking with the NSA wasn't talking with the CIA, and they weren't all talking together. And then on top of that, the State Department also wasn't talking to these other agencies as well, which is why how these hijackers were able to get the visas in the first place. So
if I can speak real quickly on that, because that's a piece of information I have, right? So according to James Bamford, the NSA had actually picked up communications of Al-Mihar and Al-Hazmi back in '99, who were two of the hijackers. But because of internal bureaucratic conflicts between itself and the CIA, they didn't do a full analysis of the information. And when they passed it on, they literally only gave them the fucking first names of the people. They weren't even able to coordinate. Part of what happened, I don't know if you know this, but the TSA didn't exist before 9/11. Part of what happened after 9/11 was trying to get all of these agencies to work together better because they were so poor at communicating beforehand.
Yeah, the Homeland Security did not exist pre 9/11. So 9/11 is actually what sparked the Homeland Security, which then created the TSA.
Yeah,
you got your job from that. You got your job because of 9/11.
Oh shit! He's
really,
part of it. Oh no!
Not really, because if I didn't get hired by HSI, I would have been.
Yeah, he would have just been part of the FBI or like CIA or something.
Hired by the U.S. Customs Service.
Wait, hold on. What percentage Jewish are you? Hold on.
100%. No. Actually,
what year did they hire Destiny?
I don't know, dude. What year they hired Destiny?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Myron Goldstein over here is yeah.
So going back to what you were saying, like, yes, 100%. The agencies did not share information with each other prior to 9/11. That's why the attacks were able to happen, because there were so many things going on. And then also historically, the FBI and CIA have always had issues with each other as far as like sharing information. And everyone is like, you know, if you want to get information from another agency, it's very bureaucratic. You got to fill out, you know, outside agency forms, all this other shit. If it's classified, then it becomes a pain in the ass. Like, the only way you're really going to be able to get information and share it is if like you're a part of a JTTF or something like that. But even then, it still becomes bureaucratic.
Oh, also, where are all of the civilians that were on the airliners that the government supposedly landed somewhere else?
Yeah.
Does that bother you? Like, were they just executed by government agents in like an unprecedented?
There's not
and no one has said
evidence.
Anything about it. Nobody had a problemed conscience. Nobody was like, this is a little fucked up. Snowden or Manning didn't have any files to leak when they leaked a bunch of stuff about the government. Like, nobody else had any. Doesn't that seem kind of fucking insane? There's not a single report out of any one of the military bases these military drones must have flown out of to swap places with the commercial airliners that supposedly fly into the buildings. Nobody got a compelling shot. Or when they said that, when they said in Pennsylvania that one airliner that was shot down, was that the one plane that wasn't swapped with a military drone, but the other three were? They intended to shoot that one down? Was that planned from the start? And where's the F-16 that would have been chasing that one to shoot the missile at it? Like, why was it just a mysterious white plane? What the fuck even is that? Like, was it an Area 51 UFO? Like,
True.
Yeah, and Sneako, I know you had asked about like how did they learn how to fly the planes? They were in flight school, bro. Actually, down here, like some of them were down here in Florida.
Really? For how long?
Couple months. A couple of them were down here.
And they just moved to America. They started going to flight school, and they weren't flagged as suspicious.
Well, that goes back to
that's before, because like Sneako's imagining that they had the current fucking absolute like lockdown on everything. Like they have the TSA. No, this was before all of that shit was brought in. This is why it happened, because of.
That's what I was saying before. The State Department was not communicating, you know, with the other agencies as well. FBI was sharing information. CIA wasn't sharing information because some of these guys had hit the radar, right? Of these
one got actually rejected for a bad passport. Yeah.
Yeah, but prior to 9/11, agencies weren't really sharing information like that. Like the JTTF existed, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, but it wasn't as how do I say? It wasn't as efficient as it is today. We're like sharing information and everything else like that. But yeah, dude, like the matter of fact, I know that for a fact because it was the U.S. Customs Service that was doing the investigation into some of those guys, or an INS back then. And then after the 9/11 happened, FBI came in and took all their fucking shit. I know that for a fact because when I was working, an analyst that used to work for Customs, she was like saying, yeah, I was assisting in this investigation. One day FBI came in, they took all the stuff on the flight school information.
But if it was so easy for them to get trained and to take down like some of the biggest buildings in America, why didn't the Cubans do it? Why didn't any of our other enemies do it? Why hasn't Russia done that? A couple of fucking, it wasn't even that much of an organized
Because they did it once. And then and now the United States is like locked down on that shit.
effort. It seemed like they just got in there.
Well, actually, yeah. Why was Kennedy the last like president assassinated? Why wasn't like, you know, any presidents after him or before or just before him? Like the last president before him assassinated was oh no, Reagan got shot, I think, actually, though, right? Maybe this is a little bit of a bad example because people have tried, but obviously it gets more difficult. Oh no, sorry. Actually, no, that is a good example. It's like why was actually no, Kennedy is a good example. Why is Kennedy the last president to get shot in an open in a car? It's like, well, because after Kennedy, they made a fucking mobile bunker.
And Destiny's like, oh, it doesn't matter. They had no training. It was on a suicide mission. They didn't give a fuck.
And before that, no one tried
it.
it.
To hit the most important buildings in America without any much of a planned attack.
It was a terrorist attack in '93. Destiny was talking about it earlier. It was, yeah, the car bomb occurred in '93, and then there was terrorist attacks in the '70s as well from Croatians, and Cubans did do some terrorist attacks here in the United States as well. But a lot of times it was on embassies, like for their country that they hate.
Yeah, and then also you got to keep in mind that like Russia coordinating a terrorist attack like this would be crazy. One of the things that gave these guys the advantage too is, and one of the reasons why it was so easy to find them, I think within 72 hours the FBI knew every single hijacker, is because they didn't give a fuck if they got found. They weren't trying to hide their connections. They weren't trying to like obfuscate who they were. Like they went to the airports using their real names.
We are
like,
kind of
baggage and shit. Like we found like passports and some of these dudes checked luggage that actually
like one of the things that's interesting about finding people is that it's easier to find people who are trying to hide because you can look for signs of people trying to hide. But people who aren't trying to hide, it's really hard to find those people because they're not trying to fucking hide. They're just like, we're gonna do this, and we're the people doing it, and we don't give a fuck. We're doing it, and then like they could pass a bunch of red flags because they're not doing the red flags. They're not hiding their footsteps, right? So they just look like normal people. It's like, oh, those are just normal footsteps. It's like, no, those are
like was their real
those
name.
are people who don't give
like,
a fuck.
I don't think Russia would want to send agents and then have that known internationally that they've got people hijacking planes and trying to obfuscate that the entire time. Al Qaeda didn't give a fuck if they got found. They just wanted to crash the planes.
The name of the documentary is called The New Pearl Harbor, and it's proven that Pearl Harbor and even you know about the Gulf of Tonkin.
It's not. That is not proven. That's a whole other conspiracy theory that you have to dive into. But
you know about the Gulf of Tonkin resolution?
No, fill me in.
We lied about the Vietnamese blowing up this boat so that we could have a motive to go to war. Americans need to have a motive and a reason to go to war. Just like Pearl Harbor, the Japanese blew up that military base, and then we had a reason to go join the war.
Okay.
Vietnam War, all the hippies were protesting. No. I don't want to go. We shouldn't go to Vietnam. We have no business going there. So they lied and said that the Vietnamese blew up this boat, and then we went into war. Okay. So why can we not apply that same logic to?
So just an FYI, with the World War II thing, the Japanese had already blown up U.S. boats beforehand. It was called the Panay Incident, was the main one. And the United States was just like, oh no. Like, just apologize essentially and we'll move the fuck on. Because the United States didn't want to go to war. Pearl Harbor was an attack on, like, the main fleet. Because the United States decided to station their main fleet in Pearl Harbor. Or, like, a big bulk of their fleet. And the point of the Japanese attack on there was to destroy as many carriers and as many boats as they could. To kneecap the United States fleet, forcing them to rebuild a bunch of ships before they could actually attack, and hopefully the Japanese would be able to take enough land at that point so that they didn't have to fight the U.S. in the oceans. That didn't go well because they didn't destroy enough ships, and it turns out that the United States had a massive war machine behind them and was able to pump out boats like no fucking tomorrow, and they went to war against the Japanese, and we all know where that went.
9/11.
I'm pretty sure that this entire narrative is a total lie as well, but yeah.
They lie about these angry... No, the Gulf of Tonkin resolution's proven. That's not even a conspiracy. Look, Google it right now. I'm going to show the stream. Why can we not apply that same logic to 9/11? You make up a terrorist attack, reason to go to Iraq. We're still in Iraq and Afghanistan. We still have soldiers today.
Wait, we're out of Afghanistan and Iraq.
What you're talking about, I'll definitely check it out, man. I'm open-minded to checking different things out. I don't let my prior experience in law enforcement like clout my judgment. Like I'll definitely check it out and see, because I'll be able to, because I have because I've seen the 9/11 investigation from another lens because I was behind the scenes. So I'll definitely go ahead and look at this documentary and see like what's true, what's not, whatever it may be. I'm always open to seeing other viewpoints.
What were the viewpoints in that other documentary that you're talking about?
Loose change, but that's been largely debunked. That's why there's like, this is the new one. It's because a lot of the loose change stuff has already been dealt with. So the new Pearl Harbor is like the new big one that people talk about.
Yeah, loose change is like, it came out, what, like a decade ago, Destiny, at this point? Like, yeah,
maybe loose change is pretty old, isn't it?
Yeah, basically it's very similar, saying, hey, there's no way that the tower would have fell that way. It was a demolition. It wasn't a plane hitting it, whatever. Very similar stuff to what you're talking about right now with this new Pearl Harbor, which I'll check out.
Films were released between 2005 and 2009. There were a few.
Yeah. Like when Sneako was a baby.
I was in middle school. Yo, Myron, in your experience, like 8 years working for Homeland Security, you didn't notice any shady shit? You didn't notice them, like, don't they torture people and not tell anybody? Rattle the government a little bit. What do they do sneakily behind the scenes?
So here's the thing, dude. I was a special agent, which means I did criminal investigations. What you're talking about is typically going to be on the dark side with the CIA, NSA, etc. Waterboarding people and, enhanced interrogation techniques. That's what a lot of the times the intel community does abroad in other countries. You're not doing that in criminal cases where you're trying to secure prosecution. Two different worlds.
So you didn't hear no shady shit?
Wait, okay, wait. Can I phrase this? This is the difference that I'm trying to get across to you, okay? And I would never say this, okay? I would never say that the government doesn't do shady shit or that some of our intelligence agencies don't do shady shit. Of course,
you trust the government blindly.
No, you gotta listen to me, dude. I'm not saying that. I don't trust it blindly. You trust people on BitChute blindly, okay? Chill, all right? It is possible that the FBI can do shady shit. Of course, they have. It's possible the CIA could do shady shit. It's possible the TSA or the NSA could do shady shit. I believe that. There are things like MK Ultra and shit. That's happened. Those are real things. But what you're talking about for 9/11 is an interagency cooperation to do shady shit, and that elevates it to a whole other level of insanity. That's a whole other thing that we're talking about. And also, the shady shit that organizations usually do, at the very least, the people think they're working to the benefit of the United States. When you talk about like Abu Ghraib, when you talk about like Guantanamo Bay, was it fucked up? Yeah, for sure. But they weren't torturing and murdering like American civilians by the thousands to false flag. They were people that probably thought ostensibly they were doing good things for the country. Not that that makes it okay, or not that it excuses it. So those are two huge differences. One is that you're not talking about killing thousands of US citizens, and two, we're talking about an interagency, massive conspiracy sprawling across the entire US government.
You're saying that that's so crazy, but what about Snowden? Why were they able to keep hush mode on the mass surveillance of everything going on, the spying, but you can't apply the same logic to 9/11?
Mass surveillance from one of our intelligence organizations. That I can believe that. I would believe that. Or if you tell me that like the FBI has like treated some prisoners horribly or done some fucked up shit, I would believe that. But we're not talking about massive coordination across all of our intelligence agencies to fucking kill thousands of US citizens. That's a way different thing.
Did you hear anything about Snowden before it was released?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously I know about, NSA collecting, which is, unheard of, like to be collecting. The biggest issue with that was they were collecting on US citizens. Intelligence agencies typically aren't supposed to do that. So that's why that caused such an issue.
Did you have surveillance that a lot of normal civilians didn't have? Like, were you able to go spy on phones and shit like that before it was released that's the NSA was spying?
So again, let me bring this in. So there's two different worlds. There's a law enforcement world, and then there's the intelligence world. When you're in the law enforcement world, everything's got to be transparent. I'll give you an example. Right now with Trump, right? They did a search warrant on his house. They went ahead and had to go to a magistrate to go ahead and get that search warrant. That search warrant, already they're starting to, put it out there, because when you do criminal investigations, everything has to be put through a U.S. court. When it's go through a U.S. court, that means it's discoverable, which means the public has an access to it. Right now, anybody on this chat can go to pacer.gov, right, and search up the Trump search warrant and get all the documents. The intel world does not necessarily have to abide by those rules. So law enforcement and intel are two different worlds. So, if an agent's going to listen to your phone or whatever it may be, he has to do something called a Title III intercept. Okay, which is basically listening to your phones, real time, your emails, whatever it may be, and that's real time monitoring of some type of medium that you're using to communicate with someone. You need an affidavit to do that, which typically can be between 50 to 100 pages, where you establish your probable cause, why what they're doing is criminal, and then the facility that they're using to commit the crime is illegal. So, for example, they're using a telephone to facilitate drug trafficking. Bam, you write an affidavit. I know that this phone is used to do such and such. and then you're able to go ahead and listen into that phone. That or if I know this meeting place is where they do criminal activity, you're able to bug up the room. That's how the FBI was able to take down the mafia. But in the intel world, they need way less, okay? Because they're able to put everything under national security, right? Thanks to the Patriot Act.
You got the Patriot Act from 9/11, right?
Yeah, it came after 9/11. But that I just want to make that distinction that like law enforcement and the intel world are two different things. Now, there's something called the FISA court, right? Foreign Surveillance Act, right? Where you can go ahead and you can get, FISA warrants or whatever it may be. That is different than typically the law enforcement world as well, because now you're getting into more espionage, you're going into national security, getting into terrorism.
FISA, is that the court you go through to do spying domestically if you're like the CIA or NSA? Is that what the FISA court was for?
Yeah, if you need to basically articulate that your investigation has like some type of national security nexus.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
To get into the FISA courts, that's a whole other world, because now those documents aren't going to be discoverable to the same level as like criminal investigations with a regular court.
Look, the theory, the new Pearl Harbor theory, you could apply to 9/11, and also, have you heard about Operation Northwood?
Oh my dude, there's like a million things.
Operation Northwoods, America's top military leaders reportedly drafted plans to kill innocent people and commit acts of terrorism in U.S. cities to create public support for war against Cuba. America's done that time and time again.
This wasn't actually done, though. This was shot down because it was fucked up.
They plan to do it.
That's the job of our intelligence agencies, to plan crazy shit. And then hopefully you've got people at the top that are making calls on whether we go through with it or not. But it was ultimately shot down. Nuclear warfare was also crazy shit. We fucking bombed 2 huge...
Yeah, like... MacArthur had a plan to nuke the north side of Korea, like the border between Korea and China, to stop a Chinese invasion and to help them take down Korea. He was just like, yeah, nuke the whole thing, but no one went through with it. Like,
cities with fucking nuclear bombs. That was some crazy shit too. But like,
this is proof that the government is capable of lying to get public support for a war.
But you don't.
Just like,
no, it's not about lying. We're not talking about lying to get public support for war. I believe the government could do that. I personally think there was some level of that happening when it came to justification to invade Iraq, when it came to them having biological weapons or chemical weapons or weapons of mass destruction. I think that there was some. There's a whole thing called the Office of Special Plans, and that's a whole separate thing that you could argue was done in bad faith. But I'm telling you that is different than getting federal employees. These are your neighbors. These are normal fucking people. Federal employees to get on board with this plan to kill 3,000 plus Americans to do his false flag attack. That's like a whole other fucking thing.
Myron, how much do you trust the government? You're right. Do you vote right or left?
I typically tend to swing a little bit more conservative.
Okay, so how much do you trust the government, and how much is that influenced by your time working for the government?
Here's the thing, man. Like I said before, a lot of people give the government way too much credit. They're not. A lot of them are not as smart as people think they are, and they're not as hardworking as people think they are. There's a reason why they call it Federal Friday. They're out the office by 2-3 p.m. So that's how the federal government works. Now, as far as me trusting the government, hey man, I worked for the government from 2010 all the way to 2020. It was a good time. I had a good, I did a lot of investigations, but remember, I was in a law enforcement capacity. I was not an intel person. The intel world is a whole other thing. There's a reason why they keep the CIA budget classified. They don't necessarily say how much money they get per year. Yes, they do a bunch of shady things behind the scenes, and some of it may or may not be deemed as ethical, but that's what you got to do sometimes to have the leverage as the world superpower. So I get it. But
do you trust the government?
Different worlds.
What?
But do you trust like the government as a system? Destiny keeps talking about the system of the government. Do you trust
hold on, real quick to get my point across clearly, so you're not misrepresenting me. I'm not saying that you have to trust every section of the government. I'm just saying you have to look at the
sections. You're not
gonna let me finish. You have to look at what the government is capable of, and you have to. What I trust. This is what I would trust. Okay, I would trust that if the government was trying to coordinate some large-scale assassination of like 3,000 plus Americans, that the people inside would say something. That's what I would trust in the government. I don't trust the government to run efficiently or to do everything perfectly, but I think there's enough checks and balances in the system that a broad-reaching conspiracy like that would come out.
Like
That's what I would trust.
It seems like Myron agrees with you that there's different factions of the government. You can't all lump them into one system. But do you trust the government?
It's not even agreeing. That's a fact. I'm telling you this from my experience of just knowing how.
Okay, but you're kind of avoiding the question. Do you trust the government?
For the most part, yes, but there's definitely some things that I don't agree with.
Do you think the government is capable of lying to get public support for war?
I mean, dude, that's been going on since the beginning of time. I think you'd be foolish to not think that they're capable of.
It's possible that they lied about 9/11.
With 9/11, dude, I'm not so sure because there's so much evidence. They declassify a lot of the things from the 9/11 situation, man. Like from how the attacks happened to the people identified, how they identified them, whatever. All that stuff is public record nowadays. You can see it all.
Actually, if you watch the documentary, a lot of the interviews and a lot of what's in the 9/11 Commission report is still classified information. That's you saw, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that still is classified. Sure, a lot of stuff around airplane security and shit is dude, I don't even think you can film episodes on like fucking airplane security, like when you're doing TV. Like that's a lot of that shit is classified. I don't know why it is. If I knew exactly why, they probably wouldn't have to classify.
I'll tell you guys why. A lot of the times, the reason why stuff is classified, guys, isn't necessarily because the information in itself is that secret. It's how the information that was
you don't want to burn sources and stuff. Yeah.
That's why. So whenever things are classified or it's this is secret or whatever it may be, it might not even be that serious. It's that they got the information through a means where it would burn that source or burn that confidential human source or that whatever or an investigative technique. That's why it's classified a lot of the times.
What do you think about the United States response to 9/11, the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq? Do you think that was a proper response to what happened?
Yeah, the Iraq invasion made no sense to me.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Did invading Iraq and Afghanistan make sense as in response to 9/11?
I think invading Afghanistan made sense 100%. Iraq was wild. Iraq was
a bunch of like Egyptians and Saudis.
No, it's not about it. The idea was that the Afghanistan government, the Taliban, was giving basically shielding to people that were destroying the United States, the Al-Qaeda, and they refused to cooperate with us when it came time to turning those people over. So we decided to go into Afghanistan and fuck their shit up. I don't know what the fuck happened with Iraq. I don't know where that came from or why the fuck that was bullshit. But
they've had a hold on for Saddam and like since the 90s. They've had an issue with Saddam for a long time.
Sure,
so like,
which is fair. Saddam was a fucked up dude. But if you weren't going to get rid of Saddam after the first Gulf War, I mean, you left him there, so you kind of have to deal with it. So, yeah, I think Iraq was fucked for sure, but Afghanistan was for sure okay.
Finished what his dad couldn't finish.
Yeah,
you know
I've heard that meme before. Yeah, he tried to kill his daddy, blah blah blah. But
so the government knew, and they used 9/11 as an excuse to go into Iraq. Correct?
Well, no, they didn't. Kind of, but not really. Iraq, they needed WMDs, remember? Which was probably bullshit.
Bullshit. What do you mean? It was all bullshit.
They didn't find any weapons of mass destruction.
They knew there wasn't any. And Destiny, you adamantly trust the government so much. Think about all the senators.
Why do you keep hold on?
Keep saying this, but like Bush made a different division, a separate division specifically tasked with finding these WMDs. It's a little bit different than like every government agency coordinating to do this.
You're a fucking Biden beta boy. Didn't all those like Hillary Clinton, all these people voted for the war in Iraq, and they all knew it was horseshit. WMDs.
Okay.
And you still trust them.
If you're gonna listen to me, you need to listen to what the fuck I'm saying instead of just repeating like these retarded.
You're saying.
No, you're a bot, dude. You repeat the most bot talking points ever. Okay. So this is my understanding, and I'd have to go back and read more. Okay, because I don't know everything. This is my understanding for how justification.
But I'm the bot.
This is my understanding for how you don't even know anything about any of these topics. Okay.
So homework before you watch a movie. Yeah.
Because I like to do my homework. The justification for the Iraq War came from a special division that was created by Bush to take unvetted and unverified intelligence and pass it all the way up to the chain of command. The Office of Special Plans was literally created for them to take unverified intelligence from the field and then use that for justification for things like WMDs. I'm pretty sure the CIA and the NSA, I believe, fought against the creation of that and the unvetted intelligence that passed up through that. So when you look at it that way and you say, Destiny, don't you trust the government? Yeah, I do when all the agencies are working together. But when you're literally creating a side thing to take unvetted, I don't trust that. And I wouldn't trust that. And I don't. And I still don't to this day. I think that was bullshit from my understanding of how that functioned. But that's an example of going around the mechanisms that I believe are in place in our intelligence agencies to make sure that shit isn't going off the fucking wire. Okay.
I will say this: being here in the middle of this is pretty awesome. Watching you guys debate and argue things, so very interesting.
Yeah.
Destiny, I did hear you say something about bringing some girls on the show or something like that. 6 girls.
It would be really fun to grab like 6 to 8 of like my friends or whatever to bring them on. It would just be a wild show because they're so different than the Miami people, but it would be funny to see it.
We could do it, man. I mean, here's the thing, Destiny. I've heard this a bunch of times. Like, yo, you guys only bring stupid OnlyFans models on, blah, blah, blah. Dude, we brought on girls that are like educated as hell. Well, we had a PhD on yesterday. She still had the same exact talking points as all the other girls, man. I'm telling you, bro.
There's something about the people that come to...
Because there's a thing that exists in the world. It's called street smart and street dumb as fuck, okay? I've known people that are unimaginably intelligent. 90s, hundreds in class, all throughout high school, going into university for being like doctors and shit like that. And at the same time, just the stupidest motherfuckers you could ever meet in your entire fucking life. Just like anything outside the topic they're currently studying at school, complete fucking dipshits.
To Miami are wild, man. These girls are fucking on another level of insanity. Okay, even I came from LA, and these girls are fucking crazy to me. But I don't know. Maybe I'll bring, if I ever do this, if I set it up and we get them all flown in.
Bring them, dude. Hey, man, I fear no debate with any chicks on when it comes to intersexual dynamics. I'd be happy.
I'm imagining the panel. What would it be? Brittany Simon, Melina, Erudite. Who else? That's 3. Who is the other 3? Oh, Bose would be funny. That's 4. Anna. Two more. Fuck. Who else would like go on the show willingly? I'm just trying to think. I think of like a bunch of my friends, but they wouldn't go on. It's like not like Lily's not gonna go on. I don't know who else. 2 more. Who the fuck? I have no idea. Anyways, I have 4.
Have that discussion. You know, we could put me, you, and Sneako on, and you could bring your 6 friends. But dude, I'm telling you, man, the hardware does not change the software. A lot of girls have the same exact talking points, same indoctrination about feminism, thinking that they're equal to men, etc., regardless of their education level.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
We don't believe that same shit. Wait, Destiny, one more point about 9/11.
yeah.
Like, the fucking plane evaporated in the fields in Pennsylvania. They couldn't find any of the ruins. How the fuck did they?
Planes evaporate all the fucking time. Planes go really fucking fast. If they nosedive into the ground, they're gonna evaporate essentially.
Get the passport.
I don't think the passport came from that plane. It came from the ones near the World Trade Centers.
They found the ones in Pennsylvania too.
Was that for the guy that had the passport that was in his checked bag that didn't make it onto the plane?
I don't know.
Because I thought they found 2 passports in the World Trade Center rubble, and then I thought they had 1 passport from a guy who he checked in for his flights, but the baggage didn't make it onto that plane, so they pulled the passport from his bag.
Yeah. Pretty convenient.
Yeah, is it?
Super convenient.
Or it could have just happened.
Yeah, sure. I need to do some research too, man. I'm getting hungry, man. I'm trying to like, bro. Do you see how fast Destiny talks, Myron? He's all day like, whatever happening?
Because you're spitting out like 400 conspiracies a second. I gotta like respond to like 7 million things.
And I'm just here, like I'm drinking my wine, or I'm about to order some food right now. I have to like,
Sneako, you don't think you're talking fast, bro?
I
I don't know.
I want to get more autistic. I want to start reading more stuff online. I want to read these books and everything, do homework to videos and shit like that while playing video games at the same time. Talking like this, because no, that's a cognitive dissonance. And I just want to get to that level of debating. I'm getting better like that, but you talk so fucking fast, and I just hear I just want to like, but yeah, I'm gonna get better.
I'm
gonna get autistic.
Like I said, I'm always open to other viewpoints, man. So I'll definitely check it out. But like from my point on 9/11 basically is like there isn't enough evidence in my eyes to dispute the fact that we were attacked by terrorists. It's very clear and evident that there's an abundance of information from Bin Laden to the USS Cole attacks, etc. That we were attacked by Bin Laden and his crew. And that's what happened with 9/11. You know what I mean? And I'll watch that documentary and I'll check it out. I'm always open to seeing other viewpoints.
For a debate, we have a debate tomorrow.
Wait, you and me do?
No, me, you, and Nick. We have a debate. Myron, you want to pull up for that?
Wait, hold on. Wait. Our debate is scheduled on the 22nd at 6 o'clock EDT.
Yeah,
okay?
it's the 21st right now.
Okay, well, because we're past midnight. But you have to sleep, wake up, and then it's the next day.
Oh, okay. Do you want to be on there on the 22nd? That's the same day the Creativity Kit is dropping, by the way. Go sign up right now, Sneako.net.
What are y'all debating?
This fucking 5-hour documentary.
Yeah.
Oh, the documentary?
I already know. We're going to go through 30 minutes of it, and it's going to derail, and I'm wasting like 3 days.
And you're going to be yelling at Nick back and forth, and you guys are going to have an autistic, high IQ level conversation. I'm just going to be there like at the bottom, like, yeah, cool. Dope.
I'll definitely tune into it. I'll check it. It's gonna be Monday.
I don't know if it's really good.
Nick is gonna be on the guy on the no-fly list. Yeah, but I need to have like another black guy. I need to have some because like, bro, if I just have always like 2 white guys going back and forth saying the N-word back and forth, it doesn't.
Okay, hold on. Listen. I've never said the N-word on this stream before. Okay, so slow down. Okay, calm down.
I want to though.
Well, I don't
want to.
They don't count me as a black guy, so I can't do anything, bro. They don't count me as one.
Well, we could both give him a pass if we work together.
Okay, we can maybe equal one, right?
We can equal 1 pass for Destiny.
One pass.
Yeah, let's.
All right. Well, that was fun. What a shit show. I might watch. Yeah. I'll probably watch that debate at 6. Whatever the fuck. We'll see. We'll see how that happens. 6 o'clock. Yeah. I mean, maybe. We'll see. Anyways, I'm just gonna restart my stream quickly. Well, thanks for tuning in if you're watching this. And I'm just gonna restart my stream quickly so I can get Twitch back or whatever. I don't really need to do it, but it'll just like post this video. So thanks for watching. Love, appreciate you, and smell you later.